I think it's one of those.
Although Robinson.
Could we get an application from one of those?
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. We appreciate you being here. My name is Charlie Shields. I have the honor of serving as president of the State Board of Education. I'll let Dr. Lance and Mike Moon introduce themselves.
Vic Lenz, Vice Chair of the Department of the State Board of Ed.
Mike Jones, one of the remaining members of the State Board of Education.
And then we have two good friends that I'm not sure I've ever made this introduction. Former board members and recent appointees to the State Board of Education. Doug Russell, so welcome. Feel free if you have any comments to say. So, kind of let you know where we're at. So, this is part of the process to hire a new commissioner. Now, obviously, the fact that we do not have a quorum of the board changes that process somewhat. And once we get a quorum again, we'll kind of move forward and figure out what that process looks like. Our formal application process, applications are due today for the board, and we'll review those, but again, that's really going to be a decision of the future board once we have a quorum established. We did establish a board subcommittee that was chaired by Vic Lance, and then two of our other form.
And we're trying to fix it right now.
Do I need to use one of those?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, not a problem. So we also had a board subcommittee that was designed to look at qualifications and traits that people believe would be advantageous and necessary for the next commissioner of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. That committee was designed to reach and obtain input from the legislature, from the education community, from the executive branch of the government, and also from the public. Today, what we've done is invited members of the public to please come forward and address the board with what you believe are the right qualifications and traits for the next Commissioner of Education. Your testimony will be transcribed in written form. We also have an audio version of today's events being recorded, and we'll make that available as well. The process is you were given witness forms, and those are numbered, so you have the order of your appearance. I do not. So we'll take it upon you to come forward in the right order. We also have a timekeeper. Get your little signs there. 3 minutes per testimony. We'll try to hold to the 3 minutes. We will not cut you off mid-sentence, though, I promise you with that. So I don't know, Vic or Mike, do you have any other comments? Or we'll go ahead and proceed. So whoever has witness form number 1. Please announce your name, and if you're representing a particular group, also who you're representing. So
Can you hear me?
we can. So
I don't know if I'm lucky or not to get number 1, but I got number 1. Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to address the State Board of Education. My name is Jan Meese. I am a former educator of 21 years. I am currently in my 11th year of service on the Columbia Public Schools Board of Education. I am a parent of 2 Missouri public school graduates, and I am now a grandparent to 5 children who currently attend Missouri public schools. But today, I speak to you as president of the Missouri School Boards Association, representing 518 school districts and over 3,600 elected school board members, the largest number of elected officials in our state. Missouri Public Schools, the best choice, the best results. That is the vision of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The 900,000 students in 36,000 public schools and the 35,000 teachers of Missouri depend on the leadership of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to fulfill that vision. The Commissioner of Education must possess qualities that instill in others the desire to do their best for all kids and to set the course for public education in our state. It is the responsibility of the commissioner to see that the highest quality education is available to all students in all communities, rural, urban, suburban, regardless of race, ethnicity, religious affiliation, gender, or disability. The qualities associated with the job posting outline a variety of skills. However, high-level leadership is not necessarily a checklist. The role of the Commissioner of Education demands more. It is not about a personal agenda. It is not about preconceived notions of public education. It is about open-mindedness. It is about establishing a collaborative environment within the department which trickles down to our school districts. It is about establishing a framework to ensure student success. It is about listening to all voices. It is about ethics, attitude, loyalty, and sound judgment. It's about being a champion for the public schools of Missouri that are committed to serving every child who comes to our doors. It is about recognizing the power and the potential of public education and delivering to the citizens of Missouri a product that will shape the future of our state and nation. Preserve the fidelity of public education with a commissioner who rises above the political fray to provide all students a high-quality education. It's about doing what's best for kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay.
Oh, I hope not.
So, thank you so much. Second.
I would like to thank the State Board of Education for providing me this opportunity to speak and provide input during this time of transition in Missouri education. I am Chris Haney, and as president of the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals, I would like to start by strongly encouraging the State Board of Education to return the focus of the Department of Education to Missouri students. With the recent actions of the board, it is imperative that we give back to students and staff a safe and secure educational system on the state level. In the selection of a new commissioner, we must get the focus back on continued open communication through collaborative leadership. This will be fostered with leadership that demonstrates a long-term commitment to students and educators in Missouri. It is part of the mission of our organization to provide our members information and leadership dedicated to Missouri core values. The Principals Association asks that the board do the same. We need a commissioner, as we most recently had, who will, with transparency for the issues, openly involve all stakeholders throughout the process and in the final decision-making. A belief of our organization is that educational responsibilities should be carried out with honesty, integrity, and the highest ethical standards. The Principals Association asks that the entire State Board of Education ensure that the next Commissioner of Education is one who adheres to such belief in regards to the education system and the individuals who serve and are served through it. Our organization further believes that students learn best when students feel safe and secure in the school setting. Our next commissioner, as our last one did, must embrace this as a sincere passion and not just a secondary standard. The individual must understand the physical, emotional, social, and cognitive development of students. The Principals Association asks that the next commissioner understand that political and personal agendas are not the way to achieve this. Collaborative work engaging all stakeholders is. In my role as president, I've had the pleasure of working closely with educators from all across our great state. These are the very same educators who put great personal time and energy into the successful implementation of MSIP 5 and the creation of the MSIP 6 standards. It is critical that to regain the lost trust fostered by recent actions, these educators at the next commissioner recognize this assessment and accreditation work. Finally, the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals would ask that the State Board disclose and adhere to an evaluative standard for the next commissioner. We know that effective leadership, along with competent instructional staff, a relevant curriculum, adequate facilities, and financial resources is essential to quality education. The successful attainment and growth of these factors for all 900-plus thousand Missouri school-aged children should be how success is measured, and we ask that those standards be made clear to everyone. Thank you.
Questions? Seeing none? Thank you so much. Okay. Well, good afternoon, board members. My name is Peter Franzen. I'm the Associate Executive Director for SEAM, the Children's Education Alliance of Missouri. It's an honor to be here with you today on behalf of thousands of Missouri families who are fighting for their children to access an education that works and meets their needs. My remarks here today are based on what parents are telling me and on 30 years of nonprofit work directly with children and families in St. Louis and in the state. Today in Missouri, we are still educating children based on two fundamental characteristics. Those are where a child lives and how old that child is. We mandate the school a child needs to attend, and then we proceed to sort children by age and move them through a process that assumes all children learn at the same pace and in the same way. But our world is changing. Like people experiencing the Industrial Revolution in their time, we here in the technological revolution have our own course to chart. 10 years ago, if I were here speaking before you, I might hold up an iPod Nano as an example of technological advancement. And just a decade later, that technological advancement is obsolete. Technology is changing at a mind-bending pace, but our educational models and efforts have not kept up. Large bureaucracies are almost always vexed with inertia. They are slow to implement new ideas and adopt new ways of operating, and hands that are sometimes thought to be tied are simply weighed down by mental shackles of tradition. We are 18 years into the 21st century and have agreed that top 10 by 20 is not going to happen. What we know about educational success is that leadership matters more than anything. It matters at the building level, it matters at the helm of DESE, it matters here in this room with the state board, and Missouri needs transformational change to catapult us into the 21st century. We need to pay attention to the world around us and prepare students for that world. Students interested in college coursework should be ready for that. Students interested in coding and construction and healthcare and other fields should be ready for what they encounter. Find a leader willing to buck tradition and convention, one who has a vision for education in the 21st century, someone willing to examine every aspect of what we do, a transformational leader who will remain focused on children and their right to an education. Never was it truer that if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've got. Thank you. Thank you. Questions?
Just curious, I accept the fundamental premise of your argument that obviously we exist in a different paradigm than classic educational delivery systems were created. What does, not being totally specific, but what does 21st century public education look like in broad terms from the statement, based on the statement you laid out?
What I encounter all the times, Board Member Jones, is families who are just trying to find an education that fits the needs of their children. And the reality is that that answer may not lie in the school that they've been assigned to. I think that blended and flipped classrooms and virtual learning have all been implemented with great effect in parts of the country, and giving families an option or a say in where they send their kids to school, and that we associate the money that is used to educate children in Missouri needs to be associated with the child and not a building. I think that what I'm talking about is essentially forcing change. The board not long ago heralded the progress of Normandy and Riverview. My organization was deeply involved in that, and I find it interesting that for people who say that adding some element of choice for families is not really a response,
And yet Normandy was essentially provisionally accredited for the entire time since MSIP was established. And suddenly, when they were no longer able to take their student enrollment for granted, things changed. And the same thing happened in Riverview. They said they would go bankrupt, but they didn't. Instead, what happened, it was all hands on deck because the paradigm itself was being questioned.
Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is technically full name George Driver Henderson, but I am known by family and friends as Driver Henderson, spelled with a Y. Dutch Netherlands, IJ, Anglo-Saxonized to a Y, D-R-Y-V-E-R, Henderson. I'm here on my own, representing my latest career of the last 15 years as a retired or in retirement age executive from Philadelphia. Having grown up in St. Louis, I have returned to help public education and race relations. What's DESE needs, what public education in Missouri needs, is represented in this room. Look around. We have one African American. The rest of us do not qualify as straight African American, and are African American, affable, intelligent. Mike Jones is hardly your average low-income African American. DESE has failed, is yet today failing African American students. The vision statement, I agree, is so correct. Missouri Public Schools, the best choice, the best results for whom? Not for whites. Not for low-income blacks. If we had the know-how and the skill, the leadership, and we do, it's just not yet been sitting at the head table, we would be number one by 20 already. If we eliminated our African American students, our Missouri status would be number one. But we have at Normandy, Riverview, Soldan, Roosevelt, Vashon, did I say Sumner? We continue to graduate some students who read at the 5th grade level. All of those schools, including my Normandy, which I've come back to help with your help, has continued to decline in ACT and SAT scores every year for the last 15 years. You guys, or DESE, or the state of Missouri has let the figures, the achievement, academic of our low-income 22% of our enrollment dwindle. You have dumbed down, as the saying goes. You've given points for subgroup participation just because of the color of the skin. You have given weight to attendance and graduation rates, whether they qualify to graduate or not.
Let me stop you there and see if we have any questions from the board. Okay.
Yeah, that is my 3 minutes is awfully short to try to make important points. But the important point is, for our new commissioner, we need somebody with leadership and know-how. And the know-how I'm speaking of is to educate and bring up to speed our equally talented African-American low-income students.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Number 5.
Robert Miller, St. Louis, Missouri.
Good to see you.
I want our new commissioner to bring back, or to bring in to the state of Missouri, the Common Core, which we went through over the last, beginning in 9 years ago. The Common Core, the standards as a whole are essential, rigorous, clear, specific, coherent, and internationally benchmarked. That's for the 21st century. Now, I can't get through all of this. Rigorous, clear and specific, teachable and learnable. They have all of these things. Measurable, coherent, grade by grade standards, internationally benchmarked. Teachers played a critical role in the development of the Common Core standards, including the NEA, the AFT. Today, 42 states have adopted the Common Core and are implementing the standards according to their own timeline. What is Missouri doing? Playing around, messing up with MAP 5, and a year or so ago, some senator didn't pay the writer of the exams. They were a mess. Here this last year, there were problems with the test items. They had to be improvised using last year's rates. They're meaningless. They don't tie in or correlate, or you can't compare them to any other state or any other district. They're meaningless. Why don't we go with Pearson or ACT or ETS, the College Board, and use these Common Core standards, where then we can compare them to all states, to various districts. Otherwise, MAP 5 means nothing, only something which the state board comes up with. David Coleman was instrumental in writing the Common Core. And the other thing is, we need to start rating districts by student achievement. What is all of this stuff about attendance and graduation rates? That can be manipulated. You know, why don't we have maybe 90% academic, ELA and math? That's what the Common Core standard is based upon. But they're not also just for college transfer students. They're also for workforce training students also. We don't want and expect all students to go to college. So the Common Core includes both college-bound and workforce training programs. But getting back to the ACT, the SAT, the PISA, we're 35th in the nation with PISA, which is given every 3 years. And real quick here, comparing 3 years ago, 212 to 215, the U.S. rankings fell to 35th in math, 35th in math. And the ELA and language was no better than the math. So we need to get back to the basics, ELA and math, and forget about graduation rates and attendance and whatever. We're just, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Questions? Thank you. Number 6.
Hello, I'm Lyle Barber.
Afternoon.
Here because I'm a parent of 3 children in public schools. My point I want to impress to you is there's a lot of politics currently, and I just want to encourage you to remember the children that we're serving. We know that, but I think it's important to be reminded that we're here based on doing what's best for kids, and sometimes we have to participate in politics to do that, but our focus has to be the kids. So I encourage you guys to do that, and I appreciate the service that you've offered the state of Missouri and my children.
Thank you. Questions? Where are you from, Mr. Barber?
Bolivar, Missouri.
Oliver? Yeah, thank you.
My name is Dr. Mary Byrne. I'm co-founder of the Missouri Coalition Against Common Core. First, I want to thank the board for conducting this public hearing about the qualifications of the next commissioner. I think we can agree that the duties of the commissioner, as published in the position job description, should drive the qualifications of the candidates for that position. As such, I'd like to comment on the importance given to the duty listed in the 9th out of 10th duties of the commissioner and recommend that it be elevated to first place. That is, carries out all statutes and constitutional provisions related to public education and ensures that all students are fairly and equally served under the law. The fact is, the position of Commissioner of Education is a creature of the state. That is, it is created in Article 9, Section 2B of the Constitution to serve the people of Missouri as represented by the General Assembly, not non-governmental organizations affecting policies at any level of government. Section 1A of the article stipulates that general diffusion of knowledge and intelligence being essential to the preservation of rights and liberties of the people, the General Assembly shall establish and maintain free public schools for gratuitous instruction, that is, instruction without purpose except to the individual, of all persons in the state with age not in excess of 21 years as prescribed by the law. The duties of the commissioner are prescribed in the statute 161.122 and include the commissioner's legal duty to make assessment results immediately accessible to the public. Qualified candidates must demonstrate they know and have conformed to all Missouri law concerning education and sunshine laws. As such, the board has a sacred duty to the citizens of Missouri to ensure that candidates for the position have no conflicts of interest, such as membership in non-governmental organizations that develop and lobby education policies and legislation that circumvent Missouri's Constitution, and will not be influenced by any group that does not comply with the mandates of Missouri's laws concerning duties of the commissioner or sunshine law. In addition to this written testimony, I'm providing each of you with a book written by Donna Hearn, a resident of St. Louis and former appointee to the education committees in the Reagan administration. I have marked in the book the pages specific to Missouri in which the plan for a planned economy, given workforce training and data collection, have been in existence since the 1960s. We are now, with this Common Core, not implementing a higher standard of education, but implementing the plans for a planned economy. Her book describes the ongoing influence of non-governmental organizations such as the National Center for Education and the Economy, funded by the Carnegie Corporation of New York, to shape Missouri's education law, such as SB 380, so that they no longer conform to the purpose of education as promulgated by our Constitution. At this juncture in Missouri's history, a restoration of the rule of law through a course correction led by the next Commissioner of Education is needed. None of the qualifications considered for the position are as important as the ability to articulate, conform to, and defend Missouri's Constitution and statutes in the service of Missouri citizens. I'm now open for questions. I'd also like to invite you to Donna Hearn's Education Policy Conference that takes place in St. Louis at the end of this month.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Byrne.
Thank you.
Number 8. Proceed.
My name is Dan Amsden. I'm a concerned citizen. I also am president of an ad hoc group called the Spending Oversight Council, which looks for wasteful spending in government. What I saw when I read the commissioner's responsibilities and duties was including meeting with a lot of different groups, all of whom seem to be academic and governmental in nature. What I did not see was the commissioner's duties to meet with the most important customers that they have, and that is parents and business people. Businesses are the people who hire our students. We should be educating our students accordingly, and we have been failing at the very basic educations in the state of Missouri. I would refer to a letter that the recent commissioner wrote January 15, 2015, that went to the members of the General Assembly that stated that the #1 priority of DESE was increasing the income from the foundation funding formula. At the same time, when you went on the website, it said that 36.2% of all students given high school diplomas needed remedial courses in reading, reading, writing, or arithmetic to attend a four-year college in the state of Missouri. That means that our education system is giving out diplomas to students who haven't earned it. It means we're devaluing the entire concept of a high school diploma. And if that's the case of failures with students who are planning to go on to the university, what does it say about those who are not planning to go into the university? What I have seen is a focus strictly on getting money without cause necessarily. I attended an appropriations hearing 2 years ago that DESE had requested. The purpose of that was to request a $50 million appropriation for a program, and the only justification they even attempted to provide for that was that if Missouri would appropriate $50 million, the feds would give 23.5. There was nothing in there about why we should do the program, just give us the money. We need to get the emphasis back on our students and the parents of the students, not on administrators and unions.
Questions? Thank you. Where are you from, too?
I'm from the St. Louis County area.
St. Louis County. Okay. Thank you so much. Number 9.
Good afternoon. My name is Douglas Thaman, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Missouri Charter Public School Association and am a 30-year veteran in education in the state of Missouri. Today, charter public school educators and leaders are where they should be on a Monday afternoon. They're in their school buildings working directly with their students, and I'm here to share input on their behalf. We believe the Missouri State Board of Education should seek candidates for the Commissioner of Education possessing a wide range of qualifications, from high-level management and leadership skills to a demonstrated ability to advance policies positively impacting education in our state. It's extremely important they possess a passion for doing what's necessary to ensure that Missouri students are receiving the best education possible. They should have a belief in the transformative power of education. An education commissioner should be knowledgeable about a variety of educational models and be willing to support the systems that support student achievement. This should include the charter public school model. An education commissioner should commit to making sure that the state's public education system serves all children and their families. In Missouri, more than 400,000 students continue to academically perform below grade level in key subject areas. A child's education should never be solely determined by the zip code in which they live, and all parents should have the ability to choose a public school that meets the needs of their children. An education commissioner should create and encourage an environment of collaboration amongst all stakeholders, including parents. They should be a skilled communicator with the ability to listen to diverse audiences and the public with a clear and transparent picture of the education landscape. And finally, an education commissioner should be resourceful and open to new ideas. The ability to look at challenges in new and innovative ways is essential to an education leader intent on improving student achievement. There are no silver bullets. There are no one-size-fits-all solutions, and a variety of practices, both old and new, are needed to advance education in our state. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Doug, good seeing you. Thank you. Number 10.
President Shields and the members of the State Board of Education, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Tawny Schmidt, and I'm a 7th grade language arts teacher from Warrensburg. I've taught in Missouri for the past 20 years and currently serve as the president of the Missouri State Teachers Association, representing more than 47,000 members. Educators across our state are in the front lines to fulfill DESE's goal that all Missouri students will graduate ready for success. The involvement of teachers and other school personnel is vital to the success of our state commissioner and the State Board of Education. As the members of this board know, in order to accomplish great things for our students, we must all work together. Teachers work hard every day to make sure the next generation is prepared to work, lead, and move Missouri forward. The Missouri Commissioner of Education needs to know about the relationships between schools, businesses, and the local communities in order to understand the unique challenges and opportunities that teachers face across a very diverse Missouri. Missouri's professional educators are an invaluable resource in obtaining this knowledge. If the commissioner is to truly understand the needs of students across the state, it is important to actively seek the input of teachers and other school personnel, and to involve us in the creation and execution of initiatives and the general direction of the department. As teachers, our focus is always on student success and achievement. A successful commissioner candidate must work to not only push for student success, but to be a partner with successful teachers to accomplish this goal. While the board and the commissioner can create and propose initiatives, it's the responsibility of Missouri's educators to actually put these plans into action. These plans have a greater chance for success if developed alongside Missouri's teachers. Too often, even good plans have grave consequences when proper buy-in from all involved is not achieved. For the success of our students, I ask you to please involve teachers. As for me, I love teaching. I grew up in my parents' classrooms and never wanted to be anything else. I often tell my students, you learn something new every day. That's something we should all strive for, to be lifelong learners. It's my hope that your search leads you to a candidate who has a passion for lifelong learning and the appropriate skill set to engage and collaborate with Missouri educators to ensure Missouri students receive a quality education. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am Diana Rogers Atkinson. I am the current president of the Missouri Association for the Colleges of Teacher Education. With me is Beth Kanai-Goshi, and she is a president-elect. We represent the Missouri Association that handles all teacher education programs in the state of Missouri, including the Associate of Arts and the community college programs. We are pleased to have the opportunity to provide testimony on behalf of our organization as to the characteristics and knowledge base we believe are critical for the next commissioner of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. To begin, we believe the most recent commissioner demonstrated these traits, and we hope that her example will be considered by the current Board of Education. MACD is committed to diversifying the educator workforce and preparing educator candidates to succeed in all school environments, rural, suburban, and urban. However, higher education institutions do not function like school districts. The president or the provost of an institution cannot be compared to a superintendent, but rather a mayor, where the College of Education or the School of Education are only one concern among many. In many institutions, education departments or schools are competing for resources or even survival. The commissioner must understand that they provide leadership and oversight in collaboration with the Missouri Department of Higher Education to educator preparation. He or she must understand the challenges within this dual system and be able to listen and collaborate with MDHE and the universities on service to teacher preparation. The commissioner must be able to provide support and guidance as educator preparation programs strive to meet the diverse needs of the schools and the students of Missouri. Individual institutional missions and contexts must be respected and considered when policies or processes are revised. Flexibility and equity must be balanced, and all educator preparation programs must be held to the same level of accountability, including alternative programs outside of traditional teacher education, such as ABCTE. These processes cannot be developed or revised in isolation. The ability to collaborate with both P12, educator preparation, and the university systems is a critical skill for the commissioner.
Clarity of policy and process is of utmost importance. Higher education institutions move slowly through committee to change curriculum or policy, in part because of the 4 years required for students to complete a program. A school district can change 5th grade curriculum 1 year and see change that same year. An institution of higher education must honor the program for which a student was admitted. To change degree requirements midstream provides a disservice to those students. This does not mean we do not innovate or collect formative data. Simply, the next commissioner must understand the different context of higher education. Finally, the next commissioner should value the recent collaborative work to create a rigorous program approval process for educator preparation programs. Missouri's certification program approval process is unique in the nation, and the negotiated annual performance report required over a year of discussion, meetings, and compromise. Other initiatives, such as development of a statewide student teaching evaluation instrument and calibration training for those supervisors, are being replicated by other states. These instruments were developed by DESE, Educator Preparation Programs, and P12 partners, working together, and we look forward to the opportunity to work with the new commissioner to maintain the high level of excellence of educator preparation in Missouri.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I want to thank the board here today for listening today. And my name is Mickey Schoonover. I am the mother of 2 high school teenagers who are already taking coursework toward their dream of becoming a nurse and an engineer. I am also representing the Pattonville School District in St. Louis County and our superintendent, Dr. Michael Fulton. The next state commissioner of education will require a leader with proven experience working across Missouri's diversity to support the learning needs of all students. We ask you to select a commissioner who is deeply committed to ensuring a free and appropriate public education for all children. Important key qualities of the next commissioner include student-centered decision-making, proven experience with improving academic outcomes for diverse public school populations, ethical and trustworthy, highly knowledgeable of curriculum, instruction, and assessment practices that lead to improved student learning outcomes for all students, innovative thinker and doer who works collaboratively with others to build shared vision in ways that promote policies and practices leading to college and career readiness, significant experience with the strengths and limitations of the Missouri School Improvement Program, the ability to explain complex ideas in ways that are simple to understand, an excellent listener, and a highly effective communicator. In light of recent events, we strongly urge the State Board of Education to take time to understand what is needed in a commissioner and to conduct appropriate due diligence in the search process to ensure high-quality candidates apply and are interviewed. Taking a more thoughtful, well-designed, methodical approach will raise public trust in the selection of Missouri's next Commissioner of Education. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Ben Martin. I'm from Lee Summit, Missouri, and I represent the Missouri Alliance for Arts Education. I speak on behalf of the thousands of arts teachers, arts educators who are out there, the thousands of non-arts educators who nonetheless use arts within their classrooms every day, and the community members who believe that the arts have a huge impact on the quality of life within their communities. We've I think, come from a very positive trend. The previous commissioner was open to listening to ideas, incorporating the arts into education and incorporating what I would call whole child education too, and I hope that we can continue that trend with a new commissioner as well. We've heard lots of excellent qualities that the new commissioner should have. The one that I really want to emphasize is the ability to listen. And listening goes, I think, beyond just a chance for people to communicate in front of a microphone and for other people to hear what is being said. But I think listening is also an active process where that person who is doing the listening is also engaged in the process and responding and picking and choosing the good ideas that are there in that listening process and making it a part of policy and making it a part of the things that go forward. So that ability to listen, I almost feel like I'm back in my old speech and theater classroom. That ability to listen is truly important. I think also that we are looking toward that whole child education philosophy. For far too long, thanks to No Child Left Behind and some other movements along the way, I think we were tied in and trapped within the paradigm of let's test and see what we can find out by pencil and paper tests, and that would dictate everything that went on within a school. I think in the listening sessions a year ago in the fall, we were hearing over and over again that the people of Missouri were very interested in the whole child education, going beyond what is just on a pencil and paper situation and into the overall good of that human being that is passing through our school systems. The last 2 points are very specific to the arts. I think especially we are looking for a commissioner who is has value for the arts in education, and those different things that the arts bring to a child's education that can open up a child's life. The intrinsic values of the arts, the extrinsic, the things that happen as a result of that study. I think the pendulum is swinging back toward that, and I hope that we will see that quite often. Also, just in terms of arts integration, bringing the arts into every classroom, not just the band class, not just the theater class, not just the choir class, but allowing the arts to be a part of the education of all students. It was exciting to me last year to hear Mr. Jones talk about how we needed to have new methods of delivery of instruction because he had seen Hamilton, and which is probably the greatest example of a good history lesson that is out there right now. And if we could just get all kids to see that, I think we'd have a lot more knowledge about the Revolutionary War out there. So thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I hope we can move forward on these things.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Paul Ziegler. I'm Executive Director of Education Plus in the St. Louis area. Public education is the foundation to strong communities and critical to the development of a prepared workforce. Missouri schools will continue to improve through the investment and support of public schools' innovative approach to educating our children, which is a critical component to our state's success. Missouri needs a collaborative commissioner that supports innovation for public schools to create more equitable learning opportunities for positive educational outcomes for all children. This position should endorse the goals of the Missouri Assessment Partnership to implement an adaptable, accurate, and comprehensive assessment tool that evaluates continuous growth and life readiness of student learning. They should support the recommendations of the DESE Proficiency-Based Learning Task Force, which is also essential to the further effective delivery of public education. Strategic partnerships between public high schools and post-secondary institutions must also be encouraged. We strongly believe that this is a key position in the state and should support legislation requiring all educational institutions receiving public funds to be held to the same accountability standards to ensure that all students receive an equitable and quality education. The Missouri Commissioner of Education should be autonomous of political influence and willing to endorse local control of Missouri public school districts and professional educators to effectively meet the needs of children. This would include supporting the local decisions of public schools on issues regarding bonding, teacher compensation, school calendar, curriculum, and district boundaries. We believe it is crucial to keep local dollars in their communities under the accountability and oversight of locally elected school boards. We need a commissioner that is committed to the overall well-being of children and who will promote the funding of initiatives to provide training, services, and resources to public school districts serving the critical needs of children, including support of continued Medicaid funding for school services. This role should possess an understanding of trauma-informed approach that provides access to necessary services that address mental health needs, improve children's health, and provide teacher training. Our state's commissioner should foster a culture of collaboration among schools to help provide resources for public school districts. On behalf of the Education Plus Board, 53 St. Louis area school districts, 29,000 teachers, and 290,000 students, we thank you for considering the input from stakeholders of the Missouri Department of Education and regarding the criteria of a new commissioner. We look forward to collaboratively working with the relationship with the State Board and the Education Commissioner that promotes greater understanding and support of future education policy and direction in the state, ensuring success of all Missouri children.
Thank you very much. Questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Ziegler. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me. My name is Brody Petska. I'm a student at Camden High School, and I represent a group called SPARK. It stands for Students Protecting All Rights for Kids. And what SPARK is a student-led group of individuals who have to come together to voice their concerns for the public system. And we have some assignments to show you that are quite shocking, and I'll relate how that connects to the new commissioner later. One of the assignments is we have to look at paintings and through different lenses. That's what they call them. The purpose of the lenses is to question your own beliefs and perceptions. And they make you look at 4 different ones. I'm only going to talk about 2 because those are the most important ones. Joe and Mary. Joe is a pervert. And why this would be in schools, I have no idea why. But he thinks penis every time he sees something vaguely phallic. And students are being forced to look at paintings through this guy's perspective. The other one is Mary. Mary is a sick of women being treated as lower class. Everything is a woman's issue to her. She believes our society has been shaped by powerful men for centuries, and consequently, women are always being oppressed in some way, which that one is called a feminist lens. And the painting that I want to show you is one of purgatory. It's from the Catholic religion. It's the intermediate between heaven and earth. And so we're being forced to look at a painting of someone's religion through these lenses. And we think that this is immorally wrong. And imagine if you had a Catholic student. Imagine if he believed in purgatory. You're making him question his own religion. And that's not, religion should not be touched upon inside schools. And especially politically based lenses. The purpose of the lens is, no student really knows why they're even there. I mean, they say it's to, understand people better, but how does this make us understand anything? We're not learning anything. If anything, we're learning how to just look at things in the wrong way. And it's just funny how there's just a pervert and a feminist. There's no other side. And we've been doing this for a while, and why these are inside the schools is it's insane, And students their minds are being just changed. I mean, imagine how many students have gotten this assignment and what their ideas have been changed. And that shouldn't be allowed, especially with religion. And politically based papers should not be inside schools. Nothing that challenges their perception of anything political. It should not be touched upon inside schools. That's what we believe. And we basically just stand for the rights of the students around Missouri and around the country. And we hope that the new commissioner does not allow these assignments inside of our schools. The new commissioner knows what the right thing is, no matter who else is talking to him. He knows what the right thing to do is. And he needs to know that these need to stop, because we've been told that these are out of the school. We've been told that Common Core is out, but we know that's still here. We know it's still happening. These assignments keep coming, and no one is doing anything about it. I believe that you guys need to step up and stop this until it gets out of hand.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you for your testimony.
Hello, I am Mason Petska. I also represent Spark with my brother. And everything he said was pretty clear, and I don't have to reintroduce the group to you guys. But I'm also going to show you guys an assignment that was put inside the Campton High Schools. It's not like an assignment, it's like an activity. And they make you look through other people's lenses. And I have it on my phone, so hold on. So it's upon seeing an orange. This is an English 10 activity. You have to look through looking at an orange through a gender theory lens, a formalism lens, a social class theory lens, a post-colonialism lens, reader response lens, and a deconstruction lens. And I'm going to read some of these to you. The gender theory one asks, can a woman and a man equally partake of this orange? What possibilities are available to a woman who eats this orange, or a man? Formalism asks, what shape and diameter is the orange? That's not that bad. There's a social class theory. Who does the orange belong to? Who can afford the orange? Who can't? And then another one is the deconstruction lens. In orange juice, what orangeness remains? If there are oranges and non-oranges, which is a tangerine? So I don't know about you guys, but when I look at an orange, I just want to peel it and eat it. I don't really have to think about gender theory or social class theory. This is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. And so, yeah, you guys can take that however you want to take that, but that's what Common Core is. Common Core is not rigorous. It's not higher level thinking. This is what it is. This is what Common Core is doing in our schools. And people keep saying, Common Core is out, it's still, or it's not in Missouri anymore. But all of these worksheets, all these things that we've been getting, relate back to the Common Core curriculum. And that we think the new commissioner needs to step up and get rid of Common Core for real. Because people say Common Core is gone, but it is still alive in schools. It is active. Like, we have seen the full force of Common Core as students. And we know what it's like to get these assignments and go through what we have to go through. And it's not always pretty at the high school when you disagree with their curriculum. So we want to voice our concerns with you guys, and maybe you guys could understand.
Okay.
But that's all I really have to say.
And we appreciate that. Questions? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cass Elliott here on the behalf of Spark. I also see a lot of these changes going in to our schools. Ever since I was little, I've seen new leadership in our schools, and I've connected it all to Common Core, and I will show you guys how it relates. So I think Brody did a good job with explaining the lenses. We have the pervert, feminist, we have a Marxist. And you're basically wanted to look at paintings by these people. And you basically, on a piece of paper, you have to write down what that person, which is your character, thinks of a painting. And this painting I have here, it's called Liberty Leading the People. And it shows Liberty, right here, leading patriots who are dying for what they believe in. And they're wanting us to look at this painting that's depicting of war, and they want us to think about a penis. It's not cool, and it needs to go. These assignments are found in our ELA class, which is English, and I have here a document. This is at the beginning of our English packets. It says this: welcome to the first English literacy unit of the SREB readiness course. This is a packet that our teachers teach off of, and this is provided by the Southern Regional Education Board. The Southern Regional Education Board is working to implement Common Core. As says, the state implementation of Common Core state standards continues their efforts. SREB basically goes to an in-depth review and basically evaluates teachers. This is also seen through college and career readiness, which is basically, I found on their website, they work to basically explain Common Core to students and parents. If you think Common Core isn't in our schools, I would strongly disagree with you because I see it every day and it affects a lot of students. I want to plead Desi. I want to tell you to stand up before the eyes of this nation and God himself and outlaw this immorality that we call education. Once and forevermore, please, I beg you, in Common Core.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Hello, my name is Maxwell Spurgeon. I am also part of Spark. And I, of course, don't have to explain to you what that is or what we believe in. Now, I also receive these assignments that we believe are related to Common Core and that thing. The one I would like to show you is based off, or it's theories about Star Wars. And, of course, everyone knows what Star Wars is. But they want us to look through those lenses that we keep talking about, things like the feminist lens and the Marxist lens and things like that. And so they basically want us to look at these Star Wars, and they want us to, they ask us, like, what would a Marxist think and what would a feminist think and how are these things not good? You know, and like Mason said, I don't know about you guys, but when I see Star Wars, I think about having a good time, not thinking about how it's evil or how it's in the background, even though it's seen as Star Wars, in the background it's seen as something deeper, something shown as, you know, feminists or things like that. So that's all I have to say because there's not a lot else to say.
Okay, so, and I couldn't write fast enough, so tell me again what SPARK, what the acronym is, what it stands for.
It's Students Protecting All Rights for Kids.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Carrie Siegel. I am a freshman at Camdenton High School, and I am also a part of Spark. And I have seen some of these assignments that we are being given in our classes at school, and honestly, it scares me that this is what our education system has come to. This is one example that was given in a government class. It is called Focus on the Issues. And what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to read a description of these people and tell what would be important to them and what they would look for in a political candidate and what would be deciding factors when they vote. And the descriptions we're given are stuff like an African American woman with a college degree, age 41, a white retired factory worker, male, age 70, a Jewish woman, age 50. And really, that is not enough information to judge what their beliefs would be politically just based off of that. But what they're asking us to do here is stereotype people based off of race, age, gender, religion. And they want us to give a specific answer. And if we don't give the answer they're looking for, even though there's really not a right answer here, they will tell us that our opinion is wrong. And we believe that we should be free to have our own opinion and not have to do assignments that are unfair, biased, and force us to put people into stereotypes. And we just think that we should not have to do this, and we want a change. We want to have assignments that we can give our opinion and not be judged on them, or even better, where they don't ask us to give our opinion in a way that they could say that we're wrong. So that's really all I have to say about that, so thank you.
Okay, questions? See none, thank you so much.
My name is Summer Kofed. I am also part of Spark. I am a junior. I'm 15. I go to Camdenton School, just like them. Like they said, our mission statement is pretty much to get Common Core out of the schools because it's doing more harm than good, we believe. One example is I have an assignment from my English class last year. It was pre-AP IB English. And it has 6 questions about this entire unit of, we just studied like gender and equality. And I have a couple questions on here that I kind of wanted to talk about. One of them is, who is to blame for the lack of gender equality in America? Men or women, or just the entire society? And I just kind of, that question kind of hits me because it doesn't really ask, like, it kind of, I don't know, the way it asks who is to blame for the lack of gender equality, it is telling us that there is a lack of gender equality and that we have to blame somebody for that and write about it and talk about it. And we were to talk about it in a Socratic seminar after that and be graded on how we spoke in that. Another question on here is, do you feel the stereotypes of men and women are apparent in your own life/social life, in your own family/social life/school life/job? Explain why or why not for each. And again, that's asking us to kind of, not necessarily stereotype, but to talk about the stereotypes and in our own family, and it's in our social life, and that can sometimes get kind of touchy for some people. And this is a Common Core is, as they said, very apparent in the school, and these questions like this are more confusing students with the gender inequality rather than teaching us. I know more than one person in that class who was more confused afterward, and they had their solid beliefs beforehand, but were confused afterward, and rather than being taught more. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amanda Siegel. I am a junior at Camdenton High School, and I am also a member of Spark. It is very likely that all of you will disregard what we've said because we're young and inexperienced and don't have the education that all of you do, but we're here because we're very concerned about the education we're receiving. These assignments that we've brought before you today are unnecessary. They don't teach us anything. And many here today have expressed concern that students are graduating without being prepared for where they're going in life. And assignments such as these could be taken out and to make a place for things that would better prepare students for their future careers or their future education. I have another painting here of a very famous painting, American Gothic. It is obviously meant to be viewed in a feminist lens, to ask questions like, why is the man holding the pitchfork? Why is the woman standing behind him? And things like that. And even as a young woman, I know that many people don't think that way, and it isn't right to force students into believing things that they don't. Everyone is entitled to their own beliefs, and education that is pushing in a certain direction is wrong. We would like to see all of this changed. We are very grateful for the opportunity to come here and speak today. Thank you very much.
Questions? The only comment I would add, don't think that we're ignoring what you say, because it actually may be the most interesting part of the day. So
Thank you very much.
we appreciate what you're doing and taking time to come up.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I am not from Spark, actually. Not that I don't really appreciate you guys sharing all of your viewpoints. I am actually a special education teacher, and I'm currently employed as an assistant professor of special education at the University of Central Missouri. I have a doctoral degree in special education from the University of Kansas, and I specialize in behavior, emotional, and autism spectrum disorders. I'm also a board-certified behavior analyst, and I'm licensed in the state of Missouri. I'm here today on the behalf of Citizens of the World Charter School in Kansas City, Missouri, as I am a founding board member. I was asked to speak by our board president and executive director due to my comprehensive understanding of the immense challenge of providing a free and appropriate public education to all students, based on my 25 years of experience in public school settings, helping them meet this challenge. When I was asked to serve on this board a few years ago, I made it very clear that I would only support a public charter school if they were committed to being prepared to serve any student, including those with chronic, challenging behavior and non-functional verbal skills, who, in my experience, often do not receive an appropriate education, and they have embraced this without hesitation. As a nation and a state, we have learned a great deal through trial and error about school reform, and that should inform our public education practices moving forward. We know that concentrated poverty, trauma due to adverse childhood experiences, racial segregation, and disability all can and too often do result in social, emotional, behavioral, and financial obstacles to learning. It is crucial that the new Commissioner of Education understands this and supports all public schools regardless of zip code in developing evidence-based, multi-tiered systems of support for academic, social, emotional, and behavioral learning. Rather than viewing charter and traditional public schools as adversaries, it is my opinion that they need to be supported as collaborators in meeting this goal. There also needs to be oversight, appropriate oversight so that finances are transparent and all public schools are held accountable for being willing and prepared to educate all students, including the most challenging. There should never be a public school that overtly or covertly says we cannot educate you to any student for any reason. Thank you.
Questions? Seeing none, thank you. Why don't we take about a 10-minute break, so come back at 3:25. Okay. Oh, we have 3 more, I'm sorry. So
Why don't we take a 10-minute break after the 3?
that'll work, so. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Okay.
My name is Pam Rowland. I'm from Dexter, Missouri in southeast Missouri. I am not president or executive director of anything. I am a retired ag teacher. I taught for 29 years in a rural district in south central Missouri. I also currently work with teacher recruitment and retention for Missouri Ag Education, and my husband and I own a business. And so I am here just representing myself, but I know I have a lot of teacher friends that would love to be here too, because they really, really want to be heard. Our teachers, I have nothing but good things to say about Missouri public education because I know the success stories. I have had students in my classroom
that were success stories. You have thousands of good teachers in Missouri Public Schools. I see the next commissioner needing two very important traits. Number one, I think they need to have been a teacher themselves. I own a seed and feed business. I don't think I could go into your business and say, this is how you need to run this, because I wouldn't know what was going on. I really think that our next commissioner needs to have classroom experience, and to have that is very important. I'm obviously not talking about the things that are necessary for all employees, whether it's one of my employees or the Commissioner of Education, people that are good communicators, that have good public speaking skills, that have good leadership skills. Those are just a given. You know that. You're intelligent people. That doesn't count. But to be a former teacher, and secondly, I think it's very important that they feel compassion and the need to educate all students. In little bitty Couch, Missouri, in rural America, those students are just as important as the ones in St. Louis. And education is the thing that pulls all children up to be equal. I had a lot of students that were disadvantaged, and so we need a commissioner that's going to care about all students, not just the ones that can afford to go to a charter school or the ones that have a voucher so that they can go here or there to play basketball, or whoever has the winning team. So I hope that you will take into account the characteristics that our former commissioner had, who was very well respected and loved, and I beg of you, please, go to your home school, go to schools, go walk the halls, go talk to the teachers, go talk to the administrators, the parents, because we have a lot of very learned experts here that have good opinions, and that's important. But talk to the teachers, and please show them that you care about their opinion, and you personally find out from the ones that are in the trenches every day, educating our future leaders that are so very important. So I thank you very much. I know you have a difficult job, but I ask you to please take into account the educators in Missouri who are doing such an excellent job, and they know. So please ask them.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name's Eric Knost, and I've been a public educator for 30 years, and I currently serve as the superintendent excuse me, for the Rockwood School District, which encompasses about 150 square miles in West St. Louis County. I represent 21,000 students and their families. Rockwood happens to be the third largest district in the state of Missouri, and I'm also the parent of, the proud parent of two Missouri public school graduates who also happen to be future educators, hopefully in our state. I recently sent a very long letter to all of you, including the 5 recent appointees, and I also copied you earlier on a letter that I sent to our governor, so I'm going to keep my comments rather brief. We're hopeful to have a commissioner, a new commissioner, who is a unifier and one who works in a collaborative manner. That's not to suggest that we didn't have one before, but obviously we're going forward, so we want to make sure that we consider unity and collaboration. Public education is the foundation of our society, and divisiveness has no place in this work. Regardless of urban, suburban, or rural, regardless of the diversity represented in our many, many, many kids, we need unity on their behalf. I'm hopeful that our board and our next commissioner works from a kid agenda and not a political agenda. We also hope to find support for our innovative efforts, many innovative efforts, 21st century innovative efforts in our school systems and classrooms. These innovative efforts are often ignored by the critics who are screaming for change. We also look for support and collaboration in our effort with a newly forming statewide assessment consortium. We ask that you engage us, visit our schools, Besides hearing accounts of things that are happening in schools, I've been in public schools my entire life, and I would contend that what's going on now is way beyond anything I ever experienced as a kid. Bottom line, the kids, not politics, should be at the center of this decision. Local control should be respected and appreciated. I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Questions? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Rebecca Raber, and I am a state representative from Lee Summit. More important to today's proceedings probably is the fact that I taught in a public school classroom. For 17 years, I taught sixth grade English all of those years. I'm here today because I'm concerned about a couple of qualities that I think are very important, not only in the commissioner, but in DESE as a whole, and I think you all were going in the wrong direction. I think the next commissioner needs to be someone who will insist on accountability and guarantee transparency in a way that is accessible and easily understood by all Missourians. I'm concerned on both counts. DESE's website is dauntingly confusing. It is certainly not conducive to parents perusing it for information about their schools or districts. Some states have developed portals that are user-friendly, easily understood, interactive, and provide lots of information to stakeholders. Florida has one called PK20, and they've offered the technology to other states who wish to emulate theirs. DESE told me a year ago that they were going to work on the website. I've not seen any changes. Maybe they are. I hope they are. Now to accountability. DESE is currently developing MSEP 6, which is the accountability measure of districts. They seem to be going backwards as they have eliminated attendance as one of the criteria and included it in college and career readiness. I also believe that test scores, which measure whether our students are proficient or not, should be at least 50% of the MSEP scores. Currently, they're 40%. I can see that test scores don't tell us everything, but if we have a good test that tests what Missouri believes kids need to know and be able to do, then this result should be at least 50%. That's, after all, why we're all here. Now on to the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. This was a bipartisan bill that gave more control back to the states over their own education process. It did require that all states submit a plan to deal with chronically failing schools. This really was an opportunity for states to do some research, see what other states were trying, maybe an opportunity to try some innovative ideas to deal with chronically failing schools. Missouri's DESE plan was much of the same old, same old. The commissioner even called it the skinny plan. The Missouri plan does include some interventions, including engagement of school improvement specialists, principal coaching, and increased monitoring, but again, always after 3 years. These activities are essential to school improvement, but they are not sufficient. Many of the schools that will be identified as comprehensive support under ESSA are the same schools that lingered in restructuring under No Child Left Behind and were in priority status under the ESSA waivers. Therefore, an additional 3 years of extremely low performance by such schools, Missouri should consider more comprehensive interventions, including creating options for students who have been languishing in these schools for years. For example, Missouri could consider restarting these schools as a charter or closing schools and enrolling their students in higher performing schools in the district, options that can be supported with federal school improvement funds under ESSA. Families, particularly those in low-performing schools, are empowered by school choice to select the educational program that is best suited for their needs. Additionally, low-performing schools are positively impacted by school choice in combination with strong accountability. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Questions? Seeing that, thank you, Representative.
You're welcome.
So that is all we have signed up to testify, but if anybody else in the audience would like to testify, you're certainly welcome because we have time. Okay. Would also like to point out Representative Cookson, Representative Wood are in attendance. We thank you for being here.
And Mr. Chairman, we can't submit written testimony on these forms.
You read my mind. I was just getting ready to point out, we will also take written testimony, Sarah, the website is commissionersearch@desi.mo. I want to see if the two other board members have any.
My only comment would be, I appreciate everyone for being here today, the comments that have been made, and the rest of you for your interest and availability.
Yeah, I also want to thank everybody for their testimony. The most difficult job in public life is representing other people, because at the end of the day, this is not a statewide decision. It'll be a decision by 8 people who have to exercise their judgment on behalf of you and try to make the best decision possible. Same that you guys do in the legislature. So your input, feedback is critical to informing that judgment that we ultimately will have to make, that you will have to live with. So thank you for being here today.
So, and Sonny's pointing out that I missed somebody. So,
I would like to.
Come on up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, good afternoon. It is nice to be here, and I sat and debated on whether or not I wanted to speak today. Jared Wheeler, Superintendent of Schools at Knob Noster, and I'm a 4th generation Missouri Public Schools bureaucrat. My great-grandfather was a head of school just outside of Couch, Missouri. And my grandfather was superintendent of schools until his retirement in our hometown. My father served as a superintendent of schools there and then moved on to other districts until his retirement, and here I am following suit. And it provides me good historical perspective on the process of public education in Missouri, and I lean on that pretty heavily. And just seeing what's going on right now, it's very discouraging. And I just want to encourage the board on a couple of things on my personal hat here. Time in this case is of the essence, and when you talk about that can mean move quickly in most cases, in some cases, but in this case, with all of the just the chaos that surrounds what's going on right now, one thing that I would ask for in our upcoming commissioner is a prolonged entry plan. Sometimes quick action, maybe we find a highly capable commissioner, and we have, and I've personally lived through some of this, we have a board with an agenda that says these are the things we want done, we're going to find a person to do it, and we move quickly. And what I can tell you is sometimes that's not the right thing. So I would ask specifically from our commissioner, whoever that may be, and from the board to really consider a prolonged entry plan so that we can find time for good dialogue and listening. As far as other qualities, I would like to see the board collectively commit to demonstrating to the public educators in Missouri the qualities that they're seeking in the commissioner. Because until we know that the Board of Education can demonstrate those qualities to us, it's going to be hard for us to have faith that they can judge or assess our commissioner on living out those qualities. And I do want to commend our 2 appointees for being here today. We appreciate that, and it's a good step in the right direction that you're here to listen. So thank you for that. Other hat from Knob Noster Public Schools. Knob Noster and Waynesville are 2 of 30 heavily military impacted school districts in the country. That is a very unique, not well-known ballgame. And when we talk about the privatization of impact aid funds or any other misdirection of public school dollars to private accounts, specifically with impact aid, which is federal dollars, we need to be very careful, because if that is handled inappropriately or mishandled, we're going to leave a lot of federal dollars supporting military-connected students on the table that will have to be replaced somehow locally. I sat with Commissioner Van Dieven on possibly one of her last meetings as a member of the military, the MIC-3, which is the interstate compact that oversees military students, and we ask that in her predecessor that they will engage with us to make sure that we take care of our military-connected students and families, but also the military readiness of the state of Missouri.
Just your, to the notion of the time frame, I'll try to make sure we stay mindful of something that, my only sports analogy for today, John Wooden used to tell his Bruins all the time. He said, be quick, but don't hurry.
Yes, sir. And you guys are welcome to come out and see a B2 and visit us at Knob Noster anytime. All board members and our governor.
So, thank you. Good seeing you again.
Good seeing you.
So that will conclude testimony. As Sarah said, we will take additional written comments. Some questions that might get asked. So the application process ends today. That was designated by the original board search process. In that process, we said until finalists are decided, we would not make those made public. So those names that were submitted will not be made public, and they will be held by Commissioner Dorson and the sitting board. How we proceed after this really depends on when we have a board quorum. So we need 5 members to decide how to proceed, and whether that means to create and reopen the search process, which I consider to be highly likely. So I wish I had answers and clarity about where we go from here, but we're in somewhat uncharted waters. So with that, we really appreciate the attendance, all those that testified, particularly those that came from long distances. We thank our members of the General Assembly for being here, and we'll move forward, and whenever we have a quorum, we'll have another state board meeting. Thank you.
You're adjourning this unofficial gathering.
Back.